Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we will be discussing the Philidor'S defense and how white can tackle it. For those of you who are wondering what the opening theory number is, C41, so you can always check it out. And before we get into the game, I wanted to actually discuss something, and that's regarding the viewers. And I was just going through my YouTube studio a few days back on my analytics, and I found that most of my viewers, 96% of them to be precise, are actually okay. I'm talking about not an individual video, but on an average, most of them haven't subscribed to the channel. And guys, I'm not gonna be forcing you, but I would really appreciate if you could just press the subscribe button, because I'm not asking you to pay me or anything. Just a small subscribe button could help my channel grow and give me the motivation as well. So if you are watching and you do enjoy the content, I'm not forcing you. I'd really appreciate if you subscribe. So anyways, going back to the main idea for today, the Philidor'S defense. Now there are two ways that this opening can come up. You can either have it with e4, e5, knight f3, d6, or you can have it with e4, d6 immediately the first move, followed by d4 and now e5. So it just comes to the same position because of the simple fact, after e4, e5, knight f3, d6, you push d4. And here there are actually three options for black. The first being e takes d4, second being knight to d7, which is the main line, and the third being knight to f6. Well, let's look at e takes d4 for the first one. When black plays e takes d4, you have two options. You can either take knight takes, or you can play the move which I recommend, queen takes d4. Well, you'll understand why I say this, because after knight to c6, you play bishop to b5, bishop to d7, takes. After knight to c3, you have to understand something. In any position in chess, you have to kind of compromise something to gain something. You have to lose something to gain something. And in this case, you're giving away your light squared bishop for an initiative position. Well, you see your queen here is kind of strong, I'd say, in the center. It can be attacked by any piece as of now. Secondly, you're gonna see you're gonna have a lot more plans coming up, because after something like knight to f6, you can obviously always go for a castle, but the move I recommend is bishop to g5. And after a move like bishop to e7, which is kind of forced, you can queenside castle. And just looking at this position, I clearly really like white's position after castle, something like h4. You can always plan g4 in the future by bringing your rook to g1, or you can plan a rook lift. You have this whole rank. And just looking at the position, white has so much space. His queen, all his pieces are active in this position. So that's why I really like it. So the only sacrifice or compromise you're doing is giving away your light squared bishop, which I really don't think is such a big issue in this position. Well, if you do feel uncomfortable, you can always play knight takes d4, but then you kind of get a very monotonous position, a very sorry looking position. Obviously you have g3 over here as an option, or bishop to e2. After castle, you just continue this position, but it's really no there's always plans, and I know it's really early in the game. It's only about move 7, so it's too early to say anything. But if you just compare it to queen takes d4 for a second, just by looking at this, we're at around move 9 and move 10, and now we have already, we're thinking of so many ideas. Main thing is you're castled in opposite directions, so even black kind of has some plays. He can move a5, rook to a6. Hold on, he can move rook to a6 after pushing a5, rook to a6, rook to b6. Whoops. And even black has ideas, but white also has ideas, and it just looks more appealing, and you have more plans. You can always have this threat of e5 coming up after you move your queen from this file because of this x-ray attack, and just a whole lot of things. You can put your knight on d5, you can exchange it for this. Just a lot of ideas coming in. which obviously you will have with the knight takes d4 variation as well. I'm not saying you won't. I'm not denying the fact. I'm just saying that I personally prefer queen takes d4. I won't stop you from not going knight takes d4, from going to knight takes d4. So anyways, let's just move on to the next variation, which is knight to f6. And here I see a lot of people play this move. Don't recommend it that much because you're kind of giving black to something to play on, something to base his plans on. For something like queen to d5, you always have knight to c5, and I just don't like giving black any chance, you know, to activate his piece more than it already has been. It's already on knight f6. You're giving it a mini outpost. You drive him out, that's all right. But after knight to c5, you know, bishop to g5. After queen to d7, he takes d6, bishop takes d6. You just let black develop, and your position isn't any great either. He's gonna anyways next move go knight to c6. This cause a little bit of problems. So don't recommend it. I just suggest you play simple knight to c3, and if he ever takes, you just take it with queen. You get the same position, and he will go knight to d7 in this case, because if he doesn't take immediately, he's making his intentions clear. He wants to keep the center a little pressurized. Here I recommend bishop to c4, and after bishop to e7, I'll tell you all something. I used to play this and I used to think it's good, but I don't recommend. I used to either go bishop takes f7. After king takes f7, I used to go something like knight g5 check, go king g8, knight e6, something like this. And after something like queen g6, I realized it's a really stupid plan. I shouldn't be doing this. But there also used to be an idea of knight to g5 after castle, takes, knight to e6, takes, queen d8. And I used to think, yeah, rook for 2 pawns, yeah, again, rook and 2 pawns for 2 pieces, fine. But it really is not good. I don't recommend it. Instead, just play it safe and castle. And after castle, just continue your normal development, rook to e1. After c6, obviously you have to play a4 to stop any kind of move like b5. He probably plays b6. And after a move like bishop to g5, bishop to b7, it's an equal position. But one thing you should strive for is to target these weak pawns on the queen side as white. That's something you should be doing. So yeah, anyways, going back to the main line, which is knight to d7 here immediately, which I at least call the main line. You play the move bishop to c4, simple, and it helps white attack this pawn right here, square. After c6, obviously this move, let me just tell you all, is kind of risky, because after d takes e5, obviously if he goes knight takes e5, it's even worse, because after takes, you can always go bishop takes f7. But even after d takes e5, something like knight to g5 clearly endangers black's position. So anyways, we have c6, followed by castle, bishop to e7, d takes e5, knight to g5, a very interesting move, bishop takes g5, and now queen to h5. Only move queen to e7, because if he does something like g6, you just take queen takes g5, and I really don't like the position for black in that case. And after queen takes g5, we have queen takes g5, queen to e7, queen takes g5, queen takes g5, bishop takes g5, we have knight to f6, and after something like f3 to secure the pawn, it is just a line. You can always go knight to c3, rook to d1, take control of this file. So there are a lot of plans, and you can choose what you want to do. And one thing is, black's bishop's always kind of weird and awkward. He can obviously take it out, but it will take some time. So anyways, guys, that was the Philidor'S defense. If you did enjoy the video, like, share, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any suggestions or any video ideas for me to do. So I'll see you all in the next one.